بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Pengurusi majlis, Dr. Ahmad, Dr. Ghazali, Dr. Ghazali, Dr. Kamal, pakar-pakar perkhidmatan, hadirin hadirat sekalian, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Kali marilah kita mengucapkan kesyukuran kepada Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala kerana diberi kesempatan untuk kita bersama-sama pada pagi ini majlis yang bersifat pembelajaran, berkongsi pengalaman. Mudah-mudahan insya-Allah kita akan dapat manfaat dan juga insya-Allah berkongsi pengalaman yang ada serta beberapa perkara yang ingin kita harapkan dapat kita boleh jadikan sebagai panduan pada kita, terutama kepada mereka yang melaksanakan program hospital volunteers ini. Saya rasa ini agak yang special sedikit kerana saya rasa kita tahu bahawa program hospital volunteer ini yang saya dulu belajar di Australia ya, baru lagi 1976 aja.
Kalau Kamal dah bercakap sekarang, kau buka
77 saya mula my first year in medical school in Western Australia. Sorry Brother Kamal, I was speaking English mixed today. Okay. In 1976 dan start clinical in 1978 also. Jadi apabila saya berada di hospital di Queen Elizabeth Medical Center in Perth, setiap hari akan melihat mereka yang akan datang menziarahi pesakit. Jadi saya tahu, wah ini benda hormat kita orang kampung kan. Jadi kita apa dia buat? I know that they have a system. Dia ada volunteers yang akan melaksanakan, membantu pesakit. Bukan doktor, dia volunteers, tidak dibayar. Jadi, okeylah, kita balik, kita normal air kita pun ada dekat Malaysia macam tu kan, terutama kita orang Islam ni. Akan disebutkan nanti oleh Mr. Kamal berhubung dengan khidmat ziarah yang mana amat penting dari untuk kita. Sama ada kita adalah doktor ke, pakar ke mana ke, itu adalah satu tanggungjawab kita menziarah sakit. Jadi dan yang lepas itu okey. Jadi bila balik ni keluar bersara daripada UKM, saya bersara di UKM semalam 20 tahun lagi ni 20 tahun saya bersara di 20 tahun baru lagi bersara daripada UKM, tapi menubuhkan al-Islam dengan hasrat untuk melihat satu paradigma baru dalam perkhidmatan kesihatan. Sebab dulu masa lecturer ini tempat saya dulu lama ni 1994, 1998 saya di sini. Jadi dulu tak secantik macam ni lah Alhamdulillah jadi bila kita rasakan yes, there's something that we need, we lack something. Kita melihat pesakit ini secara dimensi yang tidak mengandungi dimensi kerohanian spiritual. Ini bagi doktor dan seterusnya. Dan bagi kita yang ada rasa untuk membantu pesakit ini, yang bukan hanya untuk pesakit tapi untuk kita. Jadi saya rasakan, sebab itulah kita program Aliskan buat program banyak semalam yang sebenarnya kita menyebut Mr. Kamal membuat satu program khidmat ziarah di Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia, dan malam tadi ada dinner talk yang bertajuk Husnul Khatimah, akhir hayat kita. Kalau disebut jangan dia ada 24 hours volunteers ataupun mereka yang akan datang bantu pesakit. Kita ni Allah Akbar, jauh sangat. Kenapa berlaku demikian rupa? Adakah kita ini bukan umat yang terbaik? Kuntum khairu ummatin ukhrijat linnas. Umat yang terbaik Allah kata kita umat yang terbaik. Tapi betul itu umat terbaik. Itu tanya kita. Yang saya tanya ke saya I know there are many shortcomings. Tetapi we understand, kita tahu dan kita cuba memperbaiki sebanyak yang mungkin. Kemudian bulan April tahun lepas, saya pergi saya first time saya bagi ceramah on the spiritual aspect in the Ibadah Krani Hospital di Queen Elizabeth Medical Center di Birmingham. Saya amat tertarik kerana dia a very excellent so-called volunteers department, quote and unquote. Orang yang senior, orang yang junior, bermacam-macam, orang kader macam-macam, tak kisah. They come and help the patient and the administration of the hospital. Dia datang dan dia katakan, saya datang beri jam, that's it. But when they come, they know what to do, they know the limitation and so on and so on. Jadi dalam hal ini, nak memendekkan sebab saya tak boleh cakap panjang sebenarnya, cuma saya nak sebutkan bahawa let us begin in a proper manner. Bukan yang minat, yang merasakan ini tanggungjawab. Ini memang tanggungjawab kita. Kalau ada pesakit yang tak solat di hospital, kita tahu statistik kita tahu sedikit sebanyak. Ramai pesakit yang tak solat. Kami selalu pergi nefrologi dengan ortopedik, saya dah terbalik dekat sini. Kami selalu dengan di ward Datuk Dr. Ghazali lah, kita kadang-kadang terpilah yang mana berkesempatan. Kita tahu ramai yang tidak melaksanakan asas, perlukan bantuan. Siapa yang akan membantu? Ini yang ingin kita sebutkan. Jadi konsep hospital Masjid Ibadah itu adalah satu yang besar yang harus kita hadami, kita digestkan, mudah-mudahan kita akan dapat melaksanakan yang terbaik. Dan khidmat ziarah atau volunteer ini adalah part kepada mereka yang bukan kita katakan medical personal yang boleh membantu pesakit-pesakit dan juga mungkin staff untuk melaksanakan asas ataupun dalam kita katakan basic needs of the patient. Bukan untuk bagi antibiotik, tapi some basic need that we can help and attend. And inilah mungkin kita punya apa yang kita katakan saham apabila kita bertemu dengan Allah. ASN, ASB mungkin jatuh, tapi saham ini insyaAllah tidak akan jatuh. Dah banyak saham pun saya tak banyak, sebab itu saya datang ini insyaAllah. Jadi itulah yang ingin sebutkan. Dan sebelumnya saya mengucapkan ribuan terima kasih kepada pengarah hospital yang setuju kami last minute je minta Datuk tadi tolong dengan saya. Okey, alhamdulillah. Jadi kita kata wa ta'awanu 'ala birri taqwa, kita bantu untuk kebaikan. Terima kasih Daun Keladi. Saya sebutkan Daun Keladi sebab kami nak datang lagi ni, nak bantu, masya-Allah. Now we are ready. Jadi saya tadi bermimpi di siang hari untuk mengadakan satu Academy of Volunteers in Kuala Lumpur. Mimpi. I'm dreaming, Mr. Kamal, I'm dreaming at the daylight, to have a good volunteer program, especially for the Muslim, that will have the patient around in the community. Kepada Dr. Ghazali, of course, terima kasih. Dan kepada Mr. Kamal, he is being hijacked from Jakarta. You know what I mean hijack? He got a talk in Jakarta the day before yesterday, so I said, please come to Kuala Lumpur. So he spent more time in Kuala Lumpur than in Jakarta. And he's going back today at 4 o'clock. To Jakarta before he going back to Stanford in the US to go back and start his working. So kita ucapkan ribuan terima kasih. Jazakallah khairan. Thank you. I know that he will come back again, insyaAllah. He'll come back again. We share the same vision and mission to make it a better world in our context. So sekali lagi saya mengucapkan ribuan terima kasih kepada semua, kepada ahli jawatan kuasa yang betul-betul semua. Saya datang sekejap-sekejap je, lepas tu saya lari but they are the one that was make it possible, dan yang akan membalas tidak lain tidak bukan Allah SWT. Jadi program ini dianjurkan oleh Al-Islam, HKL, ABIM dan beberapa badan lain. Tapi itu tak penting, sebab yang pentingnya kita sama-sama, kita bekerjasama untuk melaksanakan satu program, satu tugas yang besar mencabar, yang murni ini dan yakin. Bukan kita fikirkan RM50, RM60 dah sampai ke langit, tidak. Lebih besar value-nya daripada tersebut. Jadi sekali lagi saya mengucapkan ribuan terima kasih, dan insyaAllah mudah-mudahan program hari ini, walaupun Mr. Kamal itu tak begitu sehat sebenarnya, tapi tak apalah, saya yakin dia akan buat yang terbaik. Mudah-mudahan insyaAllah kita akan dapat sama-sama manfaatkan. Mudah-mudahan program ini akan diberkati dari Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Zoom dekat
Terima kasih
Okey.
Majlis
Masuk suara.
Yang berusaha Dr. Ishak Masud, pengarah hospital pakar Islam. So saya lupa saya doakan hasrat dan mimpi untuk membina akademi itu tercapai insyaAllah. Datuk Dr. Ghazali, Ketua Jabatan Nefrologi Hospital Kuala Lumpur, yang berusaha Encik Zialvi Atin Nazri daripada Biro Kesihatan ABIN, yang berusaha Puan Rusaniza Zakaria, Timbalan Ketua Kerja Sosial Perubatan HKL, Mr. Kamal Abu Samsing, dan penceramah daripada Muslim Chaplain Stafford Hospital USA, para sukarelawan sekalian, hadirin sekalian, Datuk Latif Tuan-tuan dan alhamdulillah, dengan penuh rasa kesyukuran kita panjangkan dengan izinnya juga beliau dengan izinnya kita telah dapat bersama-sama pada pagi ini di satu majlis ilmu lah bagi saya, majlis ilmu yang akan membincangkan tentang basic training for the hospital volunteers yang dianjurkan bersama oleh Hospital Kuala Lumpur, iaitu Jabatan Nefrologi HKL dan juga Jabatan Kerja Sosial Perubatan, juga dengan kerjasama Hospital Pakar Islam dan Biro Kesihatan ABIN ya. Dan terima kasih pada pihak Urustia ya, saya rasa dah memperhari ya, mereka bergemus-gemus untuk menjadikan majlis yang kita adakan pada hari ini ya. Dan alhamdulillah saya rasa lebih 100 peserta ya, di kalangan ahli sukarelawan dan juga staf-staf ya, hadir untuk program kita pagi ini, dan Hospital Kuala Lumpur ya, mengalu-alukan kehadiran semua ke auditorium kami lah pada ini ya. Dan indeed we are very honoured to have with us ya, Mr. Kamal from the Muslim Chaplain Stanford College USA, who will be sharing with us his experience and knowledge on hospital volunteerism as part of ibadah and how we do it from the Islamic perspective. Thank you and welcome to HKL. Sebenarnya saya dah prepare a speech, tapi setelah dapat setengah jam ya dengan penceramah kita, saya rasa speech saya macam outdated ya. You know, kita punya teks ni macam very dry, but talking to him the last half an hour brought me into another dimension of volunteerism. Kita baru nak menampak mereka telah jauh ke hadapan. Kalau Dr. Ishak dah tengok dia masa dia muda, artinya volunteerism telah bertapak jauh lama daripada kita lah. Saya ingat saya tak nak dah berpandang lebar dengan garis panduan dan cara kita buat, memang kita ketinggalan zaman lah. Kita melihat pada hari ini kita beri peluang ya. Saya juga akan duduk stay put ya, and listen ya, sebab kita nak melihat ya, how we should go about bukan lagi melihat hospital volunteerism ini in our perspective. Kali ini kita jangan pongpong minda kita ya, dan berbangga dengan apa kita dah buat ya. People have gone dah kehadapan daripada kita. Kita melihat hari ini hari yang pertama kita melihat hospital volunteerism in a new perspective ya. In an Islamic perspective, in a technical perspective ya. Dan insyaAllah ya, kalau Dr. Ismail nak datang lagi, orang Melayu kata apa, nyiru kecil tapak tangan, nyiru kita tak datang ya. Buat aja, buat rancangan ya, insyaAllah ya, kita akan jemput. Di HKL kita selalu berkongsi. Kalau kita ada khusus-khusus begini, mungkin urustia daripada HKL from medical social, we can invite ya, lain-lain volunteers from hospital berdekatan. Kita banyak jiran Ampang, Selayang, Sungai Buloh dan lain-lain. Kita jemput sekali dan we move together ya, as a team from the hospital. Ya. Namun begitu kita masih berbangga lah dengan apa yang kita ada ya, sebenarnya. kita perkhidmatan sukarela di hospital KKM ya, telah bermula sejak tahun 1990-an lagi. Kita sejak itu ya, kita punya garis panduan pertama keluar daripada kita in 1994 ya. Selepas itu garis panduan tersebut dikemaskini ya. Apa yang kita ada sekarang ini ialah satu garis panduan yang telah dikemaskini pada tahun 2016 ya. Dia dibuat di kementerian lah. I think I was part in the team awal-awal dulu ya, bila kita merumuskan bagaimana kita akan melaksanakan ya. Mungkin kita selepas kita dengar penceramah ya, kita rasa kita ni very rigid lah ya. Tetapi bukanlah begitu ya. Di kementerian Konsultasi KKL ya, kita perlu ada garis panduan sebab kita masih baru lagi ya. Tetapi mungkin lepas ni kita boleh lebih terbuka ya dalam melihat hospital ini ya. Dan tujuan klinik itu ialah untuk menjelas dan menyeragamkan tata cara pelaksanaan perkhidmatan sukarelawan di hospital KKM. Kita ada hampir 145 buah hospital. Kalau kita tak ada garis panduan, nanti masing-masing tak ada cara tak ada petunjuk ya. Jadi itu pun tak boleh. So that's why kita masih hadir ya. Dan sukarelawan memainkan peranan yang penting bagi menjadikan perkhidmatan sokongan psikososial dan bantuan kerohanian bagi pesakit-pesakit untuk yang telah mendapat rawatan, terutama sekali mereka yang mengalami kecacatan fizikal, gangguan psikologi, mengidap penyakit yang serius atau menjalani rawatan jangka panjang ya. Sebenarnya banyak aktiviti berlaku di hospital setiap hari ya. Dan para sukarelawan bolehlah melibatkan diri dan tidak langsung dalam semua aktiviti yang kita adakan. Saya tak payahlah menggariskan ya. Cuma dalam kita ya, dalam keadaan kita di mana kita ini multiracial, kita berbagai bangsa, berbagai agama, sensitivity itu perlu kita jagalah ya. Kalau kita tak mahu mereka yang tidak berkaitan berdakwah kepada kita ya, tanpa kita rela, kita pun begitu juga ya, kita menghormati agama dan bangsa-bangsa yang lain. Sebab kadang-kadang walaupun niat kita baik, kita boleh ditafsirkan ya. Mungkin hari ini ya, kita melihat ya, pencerahan ya. Kalau dilihat seperti US lagi pula ya, dia terlalu banyak orang Islam ya, kalau dibandingkan dengan agama lain. Tapi how did Mr. Kamal do it ya, dalam keadaan dia kita yang minority di sana, bagaimana sukarelawan masih boleh dilaksanakan. Dan mungkin nak berkongsi lah sebab ramai yang bukan dari HKL ya. Di HKL sendiri ya, kita memulakan sukarelawan sejak tahun 1990 lagi. Tapi pada tahun 2011 ya, kita menemukan satu jawatan kuasa, dan pada masa ini ya, yang dipromosikan oleh yang berbahagia dan Isteri Seroja ya, yang menjadi pengurusi ya, sukarelawan di HKL ya. Sejak tahun 2011 ya, kita ada seramai 343 orang yang berdaftar. Tetapi pada masa kini kita ada hampir hanya 150 saja yang aktif dalam menjalankan aktiviti sukarelawan di hospital. Selebihnya tak semua stay on with us ya. Mungkin I think that's one of the problem yang kita di hospital hadapi lah ya. Kita tak kejap ada, kejap tak ada ya. Sebab itu pendaftaran ya sangat penting bagi kita. Kita harap jadi ramai yang datang dan buat sukarelawan itu as something, satu komitmen. It's not something you do apabila ada masa lapang. So that's bila ada macam tu, dan kita susah ya untuk melaksanakan aktiviti. Hear from what they do in the US, these are very professional people. They are professional in being a sukarelawan, and that's what we hope to do lah ya. Kita tak boleh mengadakan dia apabila kita free aja. So that is not right lah. The principle must be kita kena jelas lah tentang itu ya. Dan akhir sekali saya mengambil kesempatan ini untuk mengucapkan jutaan terima kasih ya. Dalam keadaan setting kita yang macam ni pun saya rasa ramai ya relawan masih meluangkan masa yang masing-masing ya. Dan saya bagi pihak garpu arah lah ya, yang ada sisi lain ya, mengucapkan terima kasih kepada semua para sukarelawan hospital yang telah memberi khidmat secara sukarela ya, untuk mengharapkan satu balasan ya, daripada pihak hospital masing-masing. Dan insyaAllah niat mulia anda ini hanya Allah SWT saja yang panas-panasnya. Dan saya harap khusus asas pada hari ini ya, akan dapat memberikan kita ilmu, memberikan kita satu pendedahan baru lah ya, melihat bagaimana mereka melaksanakan sukarelawan hospital mereka di sana ya, dengan cara yang sangat profesional ya. Dan kan itu I hope tak lama pun ya kita mengucapkan dia terbang sana, terbang sini, so we managed to catch this a few hours ya. So saya berharap di pagi ini ya, tuan-tuan dan perempuan ya, dapat memberikan tumpuan lah ya. Susah nak dapat ya seorang penceramah dari luar negara ya, who is to come and spend time with us here. So pada anda yang ada di sini, kita dengar dan kita ya, mendengar perkongsian beliau, dan saya harap dia dapat meningkatkan lagi lah ya ilmu kita terhadap world tourism ini. Terima kasih kepada semua yang hadir, terima kasih kepada Ustia, terima kasih kepada semua ya, dan terima kasih kepada insyaAllah kita yang bersama. Dan kan itu adalah Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Saya merasmikan kursus basic training for hospital volunteers khidmat ziarah pada pagi. Sekian, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
In Malaysia. In the US, we refer to this spiritual care aspect as chaplaincy, which has Christian roots in it. So we have, can you please don't pay attention to all of that? I'll give you all the slides. It will be much easier because today I'm here just to have a conversation with you. So it's not a written speech, it's a conversation, okay? And if you have a cell phone, please turn it off. We will be much better without it when we have a conversation. Can we agree on this? Thank you so much. The term spiritual care is something that is deeply rooted in our tradition as Muslims. This service is available in many, can someone help me out with this? The service is available in many countries of the world. In Indonesia and in Malaysia, you refer to it as Ustaz and Ustaza, as the person who provides the service. In the United States and in most of the Western world, refer to it as chaplaincy or chaplain, the person who provides the service. In Saudi Arabia, they refer to him as the murshid and the murshida. Same thing in Morocco, murshid and murshida. In Turkey, they refer to him and her as wa'is, the person who gives wa'd or guidance. However, most important thing for us as Muslims is to know 40 years after the death of Prophet Muhammad, Muslims established a trust or a waqf called Waqf Mu'nis al-Marda. The trust for those who bring solace to the patients. And Muslims used to go into the wards, stand behind a curtain, two individuals, and they used to mention the name of the patient. And the patient is, at this point, get the attention because someone is calling their name. And they say, did you hear what doctors say about so-and-so patient? And the other person said, I did not know what happened. And they say, patient so-and-so is on the path to recovery. It's basically placebo to give hope to the patient who is in the hospital. We have that back in the 6th century. Are we implementing our Islamic history? Some of the requirements for those who work in this is, number one, to have the foundation and the grounding as a Muslim, and to have a good voice, because they'll be reciting Quran in the middle of the night, when all the activity of a busy hospital is cut to the minimum. When we look at this aspect of spiritual care and volunteers, I would be presenting to you something that is general. The only difference between a volunteer and a spiritual care provider is one gets paid and the other one is not getting paid. That's the only difference. All the other aspects should be in place. So, in the first part, I'm going just to give a sample of what volunteers is all about from a theological perspective. Towards the end of the talk, we will go into a tour of the hospital, and it will be Cleveland Clinic. Then we'll send you off on a break. When you come back, I'll share with you some of the details of what volunteers do in spiritual care. So just a definition, all of you are here by choice. It's the free will of the volunteer to be here. So it's not coerced. It's on your own time coming to give your efforts, to share your skills, to share talents, to give back to the community for one thing and one only. Seeking more than that. For the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In a society, volunteerism is the most act of patriotism, of citizenship. It's when you get involved for the love of the country. To add to that, Islamic volunteerism is for the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and for the love of faith, for the love of the community. So we have compound interest as a volunteer in bringing this. Our Prophet ﷺ shared in the tradition, أَحَبُّ النَّاسِ إِلَى اللَّهِ أَنْفَعُهُمْ. It's the most beloved, the most dearest person to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who brings about benefits. And when we look at manfa'a or benefit, it's a public benefit, not individual benefit, not private benefit. The one who brings about benefit to the society at all. So when we bring this in the context of volunteerism in the hospital, when you look at the volunteers who bring benefit to every single person in the hospital. Now the director might say, oh, this is too much for us. A volunteer for us is not here to see patients only. A volunteer for us is not to see Muslim patients only. You're here to see patients, Muslim and non-Muslim. You're here to support physicians and nurses and social workers who are day in and day out come across people with illness, come across people who are dying, who impact our life, and they need the guidance and the spiritual support from you as well. So they can have their cup full, so they can continue to see people and provide the gift of preservation of life, which is the most essential after preservation of religion, according to our Sharia. Our physicians save lives, and that is حفظ الحياة or حفظ النفس in مقاصد الشريعة. But for you, brothers and sisters, as volunteers, you do the act of preservation of religion, حفظ الدين, and not just to patients, to every single patient, the person in the hospital as well. And that is what brings you dearest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the manfa'ah that you bring about benefit to everyone. And we ask ourselves, why do you want to volunteer? Why are you here? This is supposed to be interactive, by the way. So if anyone is moved, raise your hand and please join in the conversation. Why are you here? Are you seeking a title, to carry a badge, to be part of the hospital? It's impressive to have that. It opens doors. You go in with authority. You talk to family and you have a badge, and if you have a picture, even much better. Okay? It's important. It's important to walk in with an authority. You know what? You already have been given that authority. You are the Khalifa on earth. More important than being a director of a unit or any other position you might have. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has communicated that you have that role. You have that authority to go in and to use hikmah, to use wisdom and kind instruction when communicating the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is something worthwhile. Talking to people about spiritual care, talking to people about their own needs, discussing with people how does the illness impact their relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Offering a dua to a patient is worthwhile, something will bring you closer to Allah, and definitely and hopefully they'll bring them closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the course of work, when you volunteer, you not just impact the lives of people, you get impacted as well. Your soul will have tazkiyah, refined. As you look at weak individuals stricken with illness, you start to become thankful and appreciative of the gift of health that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to you. Work is ibadah. Work is ibadah, whether it's paid or not paid. So an act of volunteer can be turned into an act of ibadah that inshallah you'll get the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our patients are here with us. When I go into the hospital room, there are different forms of spiritual care out there. There are some who offer spiritual care in universities, some who offer spiritual care in the armed forces, some who offer spiritual care in prisons. But being in healthcare is something very special. Our patients are with us for a very small period of time. You only have days, maybe one visit at best, to impact the life of a patient. When you walk in and you have only 5 minutes, because you're competing with everybody every other professional in caring for that patient. You're competing with the dietitian, you're competing with the social worker, you're competing with the therapist, you're competing with the janitor who's coming to clean the room, you're competing with the nurse, with the physician. The patient is going to be moved to get their blood drawn, they're going to go to the surgery, going to go have x-ray. You get the point. The patient is a traveler in the hospital. They move in from one place into another. And they got to be impacted at every station of their life. And that's, when we talk about spiritual care, it's not just limited to those who work. Physicians and nurses should apply that as well. And inquire about the spiritual well-being of the patient as well. So if there are travelers in this hospital for a couple of days, let's look at it as our life in general. And our Prophet ﷺ instructed us to consider our life as a traveler on this earth. We're here for a very short period of time. Let's make that short period of time impactful, impacting our own selves and impacting others as well. Muslim spiritual care providers in the US are a handful of people, maybe one hand, maybe two hands in healthcare. The overwhelming majority are non-Muslims. The spiritual care in Malaysia is near extinct, does not exist. So when I look at you, the good news that you're here, which is wonderful, to have a group of people who are interested in working as spiritual care providers, volunteers, and paid staff. And that's always a beginning. We start from one point. The reality is we have patients that are filling this hospital, filling every single hospital across Malaysia, and they're not receiving the gift of spiritual care. Many of them are dying and not receiving the gift of someone coaching them to say kalimat shahada as they are dying. Our doctors coming in and they give the news of a diagnosis. And some of the news are not good. Some of them are difficult or even bad. And patients and their families become bewildered with the news, not knowing what to do. Some of them, they start crying. Some of them, they will be unable to speak. And the physician does not have the time to spend with every patient and comfort them. It is your responsibility to pick up that piece. While they offer the news, you offer the reflections. What did you understand from your diagnosis? What did they tell you? How is that going to impact your life? How you're going to deal with it? What can we do to make it manageable for you? In the second part, we'll go through an assessment of what to ask, and probably most important, what not to ask. And because it's a multicultural community, they have needs that we need to understand their own needs, whether it be religious needs, if they are Muslim, or cultural needs, or non-Muslims. At the same time, when you are in a hospital, you feel isolated. You feel compound sense of loss on many aspects. You're no longer wearing the clothes that you wear. You're no longer sleeping in the bed that you sleep in. You're no longer eating the food. You're no longer with the company of the people that you get used to. You have functional loss. You're no longer working. You're no longer productive. You have relational loss. Instead of being a provider, someone else is feeding you. Instead of being independent, someone is cleaning you. Instead of being able to go to the bathroom by yourself, you're doing that in bed. and you feel ashamed of yourself, and you apologize for every single person who walked into the room to be with you. Our job is to comfort, to uplift, and to empower. Because illness is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At the same time, be grateful that we had that opportunity to be for someone. لا يؤمن أحدكم. You will not attain faith until you love for your brother and sister what you love for yourself. How do you feel about being in that situation yourself? That was our understanding of becoming a volunteer, of becoming a spiritual care provider. On his deathbed, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam invited his daughter, Fatima. And she came and visited with him, and he asked her to come closer to his side. And he whispered in her ears, and she cried. He looked at her again and whispered something else, and she laughed. The room was full of people. They asked Fatima to disclose, what did he tell you? And she said, no, I will not share with you now. After he passed, she shared that the Prophet ﷺ shared with her that he will not recover from the illness and he is dying. She cried. Then in an act of care, the father to his daughter, he received the news that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevated her ranks and should be the first one to follow him from the family. He shared that with her. It's our belief that this life is short and our final life is the most important. Husn al-Khatima is to be at the end is the most important. And he shared with her that you will be with me. Looking at that context, I have many stories of patients whispering in my ear something they don't want to tell their spouses. They don't want to tell their children because they love them so much, they don't want to upset them. And the family at the same time whisper in my ear, don't tell them about what's going on because we don't want them to know that they're dying. Both of them are not communicating with each other, both of them communicate with you. Yet everyone feels something and knows something. The patient knows when he or she is dying, and everybody around them are not telling them the truth. We need to bridge that. Because there is theologically, when you don't withhold information from that patient, there is aspects of our faith that are given as rights, as a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the gift of tawbah. The window of tawbah, of repentance, is given to every one of us, and it's open right until the moment of death. So when you withhold that from the patient, you withhold something that will bring him and her closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you don't share with them the news that it's difficult, the person might not be inspired to do dua, to supplicate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Might not feel that the end is coming close, will not be motivated to do their prayers that they have been postponing year after year and time after time. On the individual levels, when you look at the traits of why we're doing what we want to do, what we're doing. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ إِنْ عَمَلَ أَحَدُكُمْ عَمَلًا أَنْ يُتْقِنَهُ. Allah loves if one of you does something to do it perfectly, with itqan. So we look at sincerity in our work as a virtue, that being a spiritual care provider definitely enhances that virtue. We look at compassion Out of love, we get up every single day and be with the dying patient. Out of love, out of care for them, we pray for them. Yet, when we go in from one room into another, we bring about qualities of being calm and present. It's possible while it's difficult. And I would like to remind you of the tradition of our Prophet ﷺ. When he migrated from Mecca to Medina, and the Meccans closed on him in the cave and was with his companion Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu. And Abu Bakr felt the closeness of the Meccans and felt the fear in his heart. What is going to happen? They're going to get us. What is happening if they if they catch our Prophet ﷺ? It will be the end of our faith. And with his calm demeanor, our Prophet immediately came to him, comforting him and said, "La tahzan. Don't be sad. Inna Allah ma'ana." So we look at this example and we take it with us as we go from one patient room into another, reminding the patient that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with us. And when we do the dua, we invoke the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the source of calmness that we bring with us into the room. How much time do we have? We have 10 minutes left. The next 5 minutes we're going to have a video. So we're going to go in a tour of the hospital. I know we are in the hospital now, but we're going to go in a tour. The camera is going to walk with us and is going to show us who's in the hospital. Because here's what happened. We get desensitized. We get desensitized. We walk into the emergency room, we don't feel the energy in the emergency room. We don't see the people. We see bodies, but we don't look at them. And if I look at them, I don't know what goes on in your mind, doctor. I don't. They look at me and I don't know what this smile is about, what this look is about. This upcoming video is a good segue to a break for you to reflect. If we have the opportunity to read minds, we will be able to provide every single person what they need. But we don't have that. We need to do our part to ask every person what their needs are. In this video, let's walk into the tour of the hospital and have this camera tell us what people are thinking about, and hopefully that will inspire you to look at patients and people in the hospital. Please play the video out there. I'm grateful for Cleveland Clinic for giving me the permission to use this video that they produced. Not only that, they did the subtitles. So for those who are interested in this video, you can go to YouTube, Cleveland Clinic Videos, Empathy, and you get this tape and many others. That's why I said turn off your cell phone, you don't have to. I'll give you all the resources. What do you think? Was this a real presentation of our patients or our hospital community? Did you identify with any particular scene or any particular patient? Would you like to share? Anyone would like to share? Personal experience or a scene that stirred something in him or her. I was watching from there, I was not watching the video. So I was watching your reaction. I don't want to call on you. If anyone is interested in sharing.
It's all right. I think you have to
They cannot hear from the back. Please.
Sorry, from what my observations is loneliness, somebody you need to talk to. It's very sad. It's, for me, it's more loneliness. I need somebody to talk to.
Anybody else would like to share? To me, the scene that I cannot look at is the baby in the living. It's very hard for me personally. I lost my own daughter in my hand. I cannot look at that. Yet, when we were called to go to the PICU, the pediatric ICU, and the neonatal ICU, sometimes we walk in with 1 foot forward and 2 back. We don't want to go. Or to go to see a patient that is difficult. We know that patient is going to be mad at us. There are some patients who are difficult, I agree. But yet, when we walk in, we invoke the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ask Him to our aid. Allahumma ashrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. We ask Allah for help, for us to be able to communicate. Even our voices are cracked. We ask Allah for help. That's what we mean by spiritual care. And we're going to have a break. And in the next session,
Brother, can I ask this question?
Please do.
Maybe the question will be relevant about still following this video, and then the background that we are sensitizing, training people to become hospital volunteers. From my thinking, that when we talk about volunteer hospital visit, is we are going to visit patients, and some of the components of the character in the hospital that we show to a patient, but some were also non-patient. For us, and I'm sure elsewhere, when we treat the patient, we also actually have to deal with family members. And many, including the stresses, depression, anxiety, are in the family members. So you're going to discuss that as well in the other presentation.
The definition of a patient for me is the one who can communicate with me. At the end of life stage, most of my patients are comatose, unable to communicate. In the sense, the actual patient becomes the family member, who are grieving the loss. So the support is not really for the dying, the support for the living, the family members. However, when I extended that and I asked for forgiveness if I'm overstepping my boundaries by encouraging you to see other people, but if you're doing the unit as a volunteer, and we just lost a child, and you see the nurse is impacted, and the physician is impacted by that loss, would you cheat them from a comforting hand? And to say, may Allah be with you as you do this work. And to gather them and do a dua. For Allah to enlighten them, to make them an instrument of healing. That's what we're talking about. Is when you are a spiritual care provider, you care for the well-being of everybody. I'm not saying to go and stop physicians and nurses as they're doing their work, say, what are you doing today? No, I'm not talking about that. I said, be another set of eyes to look at who's impacted at work. And be there, ask, are you okay today? How's your day has been? You know? And offer them encouragement and support. And pray with them. Make a dua for them. Because a volunteer or a spiritual care provider should be able to navigate the spiritual well-being for everybody. We already said Muslim and non-Muslim, family members, and staff as well. Yet the priority should always be the patient. Should always be the patient. But don't ignore the rest. Because it's an opportunity that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is presenting to you. It's a gift that you take it to others. Let's go on a break. In the next presentation, I'll share with you the dynamics of how we do the work. From the moment we receive the phone call, or the moment we walk into the hospital, to after the visit, and what do we do with the information that we get. Okay? It's part of the muraqabah and the muhasabah, part of self-assessment, control, and discipline, because it's a community. And if it's a community in the hospital, we need to know what every person is doing. Okay? Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. How was your break?
Fine.
Good.
Really?
All right. I will not be talking this hour. I'm going to have it interactive. It will be question and answer only. That's the only way we can move forward. That's the only way I can make sure that I'm offering you something that is beneficial to you in the context that you have. I can offer a framework of how to implement this program. That's why we're not going to do any slides, we're going to discuss together. Because I don't know the system that you have in place, what you have been provided, what kind of authority you have, I'll speak in general terms. Number one, every person who's a volunteer before coming into the hospital must have a background check. We need to know who that person is, if they have any trouble with the law, if they have anything else, because we want to make sure that we're protecting our community inside the hospital. We want to make sure that we're bringing in the right person inside the hospital. That is a responsibility. Once you fill out the application, and here we're talking about details of implementation. Once you fill out the application of who you are and why you're interested in becoming a volunteer, and why is the most important than anything else. There'll be a set of interviews that we interview the person to make sure that the person is fit to be inside the hospital. Once he or she is accepted, they go through health background check, including TB testing, to make sure that the person is free of any communicative disease. Because our patients, it's a vulnerable community. Okay? Once they pass that, they receive a badge that allows them to be in the hospital. Not every single unit in the hospital they can go into. You have your own set of limitations here. For the community I work with at Stanford, volunteers are not allowed to go into the lockdown psychiatry unit. That is only reserved for those who are spiritual care staff. The volunteers are not allowed there. For me, staff is allowed to have access to medical records. Volunteers are not allowed to have access to medical records. However, we maintain a system of communication. That means, today you go and visit with a patient, and you're on your own. You have your own self-muraqabah, self-assessment, self-discipline. Before you leave, you fill out a form of a visit. Who the patient that you visited with, what room that patient was in, and what's the nature of the conversation was about. Were there any needs that were presented, any services that you offered, and what kind of follow-up we need to do. You put that in a folder in our office, and the staff who's in charge that day will go through all the forms to make sure that did we miss anything? Is there a case that we need to intervene immediately based on the visit by a volunteer? Did the volunteer do any damage that we need to control? It's all about the system of discipline and responsibility. Our ultimate responsibility is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to our patients that we need to take care of. Once the volunteer receives the badge and they are willing to go or ready to go into the hospital to visit with patients, we train them on the visit. For the first week or so, they are visiting, shadowing staff or a volunteer who is senior and been doing this for a while. That means you get to see how other people are offering the service. You take questions, you ask questions, but in the first week or so, you follow, you chaperone, you shadow to see what the person is doing and how they're offering, how they're approaching. We switch roles after a period of time. The volunteer who's been recruited will become the person who provides the service and gets the feedback from the person who is in charge or was providing the service before. So the mentor now is offering feedback of certain things and offering advice how to do things differently. The basics. Once you go to see the patient, for example, sometimes we receive a phone call that patient X, Y, and Z in, let's say, geriatrics, needs a visit. Okay? We get the name, we get the bed number, and we go to the unit. We don't go immediately into the room because we want to make sure that the patient that we are visiting is still in the same location that they've said he or she is. Our patients move. Between the time you receive the phone call to the time you get to the unit, maybe 10 minutes, the patient is no longer there. So you might be visiting somebody else. As we enter the ward, there is a information wall right by the nurse's station that lists every patient's name and bed number. We locate the name, we confirm with the number. Still, we don't go in. We ask to speak with the nurse who is in charge of taking care of that patient. We introduce ourselves again to the nurse. I'm Kamal, the spiritual care volunteer, received a phone call to visit with Mr. Muhammad in bed 221. Is there anything I need to know about this patient before I go in? It's a system of checking in. And it's a system of reporting your visit to the person who's in charge of that patient. So if she or he walks in while you're talking to the patient, will not say, "Who are you?" Because they already know. You already checked in. Okay? And when you ask the simple question, what do I need to know? Because volunteers don't have access to medical records, the nurse is disclosing information that is relevant to your visit only. They're not disclosing any information that you're not supposed to know. They might say, the patient just came back from surgery, he's a little bit drowsy, or upset, or received diagnosis, difficult news, might not disclose the diagnosis, just the fact that they received the diagnosis and they're not coping well. Or they have a visit from their family members and it did not go well. The family was upset, they were upset after they left. Or they are lonely today, go uncomfortable. So basically the nurse's responsibility is to communicate the current state of the patient to the volunteer who is visiting. You receive all that information and you approach the room. Yet we don't go in. It's a system after a system after a system to make sure that la darar wa la darar in Islam. No harm shall be endured or reciprocated. That is part of Qawaid al-Sharia. Protecting the patient, bring no harm. There is a division in the hospital called infectious control. And their job is to evaluate every single patient. And they offer recommendations that is binding recommendation, and they post it on the wall at the door right before you go in. So before I go into the room, I look at the precautions. In the season of flu, there might be triplet precautions. That means that the patient will be coughing and will be releasing through their cough into the air driplets that you will get infected if you are not protecting yourself. That means you need to have a mask. Okay? Contact precaution, that means the patients have some kind of communicative disease that if you shake hands with them, you might be infected. Might. That means we wear gloves or we wear an apron. So if there is nothing, use your judgment based on going in. Primarily, before you go in, you check the precautions, you put on whatever is needed, and then you gel your hands. I hope that that system is here. Yet we don't go in. We gel our hands, and as I'm putting the gel, how long do you apply the gel for? How long? How long do you wash your hands for?
30 seconds.
How long?
30 seconds.
30 seconds. We were taught two things. Do you know how to sing happy birthday? Some people say, as long as it takes, happy birthday to you. Okay? Just keep rubbing until you finish that all over. That's one approach. That's the secular approach. Which is, it's all right. At the end of the day, we're protecting yourself and others. But we have the Islamic approach. And that's what we'd like to share with you. As you gel, you recognize who you are, what you're about to do. You invoke the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you do the dua hadith Musa. Allahumma shrah li sadri, wa yassir li amri, wahlul uqdatan min lisani, يفقه قولي. And you will recite Surah Al-Fatiha all silently. Bismillah. So now, spiritually, you're grounded. That means the visit that you just conducted, you already released that energy. Every input needs an output. The input from the visit, with the complications, with the tears, with the feelings, with the negative energy, whatever it is that was in the room. Now you're going into another visit, and you cannot carry any of that with you, whether you are a volunteer or staff. So when you gel your hands, you recognize, you bring about awareness, mental awareness, that that was a visit. This is a new visit. And this patient deserves my presence 100%, to be present and attentive. And with this dua, you release that energy and you go in, literally willing to receive them and ready to receive them. So now, you're entering into the patient's room. Okay? What do you look for when you're in the patient's room? You're a spiritual care provider. You're not going to look for the medical aspect. You're not going to ask, what's your surgery about? What brings you to the hospital? That's not your business. So you're going to look at what impacts the quality of life for that patient. Number one, what does the room smell like? Have you been in geriatrics unit? Yes? What does the room smell like?
Smell medicine.
Okay. The patient is already aware of that. Okay? So when you walk in and you make that face, it's already you're giving the news that I don't want to be here. Okay? So already you start to lose that connection. As you go in, remind yourself of the situation, what you see inside. Are the lights on or not? Is there flowers in the room or not? Are there pictures in the room or not? Are there family members present or visitors or not? So you start to look at all these before you can say anything. And you introduce yourself with salam. Introduce who you are and why you're here. That is the patient's right to know who is the person who's dealing with them and why they are in the room. And you offer the salam. Then, assuming the doctor here is our patient, can we use you for an example? All right. Sometimes you have more than one person in the room, sometimes you might have one person in the room. Assuming we have one person and we have a group of family members. Recognize the family members by greeting them, but your main focus really is on the patient. And you have a badge. That means you have the authority. The authority to be in that room. I come to the patient and I introduce myself and I'm here to visit with you. I receive the phone call that you would like to see a spiritual care volunteer. Or today on a routine visit to visit patients, is this good time to be with you? You're asking for consent. It's part of the ethics of care is to ask for consent before you do anything. And we don't need to sign anything. It's a verbal consent. If we get that verbal consent, we proceed. If the patient said, you know what, my family is visiting from out of town, this is not a good time. Okay. Enjoy your time with your family. It would be okay if I come back in half an hour. So you plant the seed for another visit. Or when will be a good time to visit with you? He might say, I'm going to surgery in 5 minutes, or I'm going to X-ray in 5 minutes. You don't want to interfere in medical interventions. You just need to know, is this good time or not? You don't need to ask, why you're having X-ray. You know, we don't ask about these things. Assuming that all was well, and all is well, and you were offered the opportunity to visit. Where would you stand, or would you stand, or would you sit? For those who are volunteers, when you are with your patients, do you stand or do you sit?
Stand.
Stand. Where do you stand? You are a volunteer? Please come forward. I need a volunteer to volunteer. Because we want to learn. And they might laugh, but they don't laugh at you, they laugh at mistakes that we do on things. So it's about learning. And you are within a community that loves you. So if you are willing, please come forward. I need a volunteer, please. And he's our patient, and he's laying down in bed. Okay? Where do you stand? Here's our patient. Where would you stand? No, not maybe. Show me where do you stand. Where? Which side? How close?
Depend on the patient.
What do you mean?
Because sometimes myself, maybe I will simply grip the shoulder and say hello, salam. I will ask the
Number one, never, you see that where he's sitting, never stand here in front of the bed. Never. Always when you introduce yourself from one side or to the other. Why is that? Why I'm telling you not to stand in front of him here? I move my hand, your eyes follow my hand. Because if the patient goes like this,
Yeah.
your eyes would be looking like this, and then we go like this. And it's a human instinct. So we want to protect the privacy and the comfort of the patient. We come to the side. Okay? And it's a brief 30 seconds or less when you introduce yourself. Never have a conversation with the patient while you're standing. Never have a conversation while you're standing. When I mean a conversation, that you're going to go back and forth. But the moment of introducing yourself, yes, it's a good time. Do you mind if I sit down? Now you're asking for permission to come closer. And we have here the sister of the patient sitting right, looking. Do you mind if I sit close here? So I asked the family member to move. Thank you so much. I asked the family member to move. I have the authority. Remember, who are you coming to visit? Who are you coming to visit first? First and last. This is the patient. So you have the authority because the patient said yes to the visit, to visit without any intervention from the family, including, if needed, to ask them, would you please step out for a few minutes to have this conversation with the patient? If needed. I rarely do that. But if I know that the patient is the referral for something that is difficult, I said, I really need this time to be with him or her alone. I will bring you back after a few minutes when I'm done. Is that okay with you? If the patient say, no, keep them, you keep them. So you offer the patient, you empower your patients the ability to talk to you freely without family members present. Okay? Number two, we don't know who are these people. Let's not assume they are family members. There might be visitors, friends. So you want to make sure that who is around the room can be or is allowed to hear this conversation. Then we sit right close to the patient in a 40-degree, 45-degree angle. So I'm able to see family members here, able to see family members there, able to focus eye contact level with the patient. I'm not above or anything. Sometimes we don't have that luxury to sit. You know what I do? You see me on the floor, right next to the patient. And that position can be for half an hour or more. Because I want to maintain eye contact at all times. And if needed, I'll come closer and they will whisper in my ear something they don't want the family members to know. Use your judgment in terms of what you need to protect the privacy of your patient. You have this conversation, and it's a patient-driven conversation. It's not an interview. In interview, you ask questions so you can get answers. In a spiritual care visit, you let the patient control the conversation, yet don't let go of why you're there. You're there for a spiritual assessment. And the spiritual assessment is 3 or 4 areas, depending on which model you use. I promised to give the presentation, the slides to your director. I'll email it to you, so you don't have to write, but if you want to write, that's fine. That's why we're not putting that on the screen. We're having a conversation. There is one that asks for faith, important things in life for that patient. What is the most important thing to you in life? What brings you meaning in life? Community. Who do you get the support from? Who do you have in your immediate community that support you? I mean, family, friends, mosque community, church community, whatever it is. Remember, our patients are diverse. We don't know much about them. And the last thing is, what do you need to do as a plan to respond to those needs? That's one model. It's called FICA, F-I-C-A. If you want to Google any of it, it's already there. The second one literally was developed by my supervisor at Stanford. Asks for 3 things, not 4. The interpersonal dimension, which is anything that impacts the patient from the outside. From outside. Means your family, your work. How is that impacting you? The bills that you have to pay for the hospital, it costs money. Anything that is impacting you from the outside. You haven't seen your family in a number of months. Okay? Then the intrapersonal, which is things that impact you from within. Would you like to guess what impacts you from within? What would be something that impacting you while you're in the hospital from the inside? Can you speak more?
Your sickness.
What does that mean?
I mean,
How does your sickness impact you?
yeah, the
the sickness that you're having at that particular moment?
If you are sick today, how will that impact you? The ability, functional, the ability to do things. I'm no longer able to go and pray, standing up and sitting down and praying in bed. Functions. So the loss of function. Sadness. Pain can bring about element of sadness or anger. It's from within. Fear. Hopelessness. Fear of death can stir about things for you. You're not sleeping the night. So when the nurse comes in and says, oh, this patient did not sleep all night, we ask, how come? What happened last night? Oh, I was not able to sleep. Would you like to tell me more? Always ask, he or she said, I was not feeling well. You don't just disregard that or immediately jump into a dua, may Allah make it easy on you. No, wait, we're even about a conversation. Don't rush into saving or solving. We're not there to do for them. We're there to lead them to themselves, to their families. Tell me more. What kept you up last night? Yes.
Sama doktor juga dia buka. Dia kan ustazah.
We make first assessment whether the patient is receptive or not in our presence. Whether she or he is receptive of our presence. If, for example, sometimes we approach the patient if asks, okay, so I'm going to respond. Then he keep quiet. And then we just associate what brings you here, something like that. And just ignore our question, I mean, it's not receptive. So should we continue or just proceed?
That's an excellent question. I'm looking for a slide that shows the levels of communication, and in this case, what you're describing. You're describing this model. When you enter to the room and you dispense the salam to the patient, you stayed right there at the public sphere. That's what we meet this morning. I met with the director here, Assalamu alaikum, and that was it. That's where we started. But then we went more. And this is a scale that you go in and out of as you are communicating with others. Sometimes you go in one level and you go up, sometimes you will dig more. If you're lucky, you get to the core of that individual. Example of the public is extending salam. Then you talk about social. I see a lot about elections these days. Oh, you're missing the elections. You're not going to vote now. You're patient. You know, that's the social aspect, the talk of the city. Whatever it is, the talk. Or soccer games. Okay, that's social. Then personal. You said, what brings you here? That's personal. Okay? I might not go into that level immediately. So you have a stepping stone. It's a conversation. The concept of breaking the ice, literally you start to dig a little bit, then you gauge. If they are resistant, you go back. Then you ask another question, and they're willing, you go back diving in. Then friendship, which is a level of comfort that this patient and this provider are able to talk and to have a conversation. We have conversation with friends, conversation with strangers. The difference is the level of comfort between the two. Then you start talking about private conversation. I had a patient who said, I have a fear of death. I think about death, but I don't talk to my wife about it. I think about it when she goes to sleep. He shared that with me. He didn't want to talk to his spouse about that. That's private talk. Then intimate. The intimacy of the relationship is similar to the intimacy when the Prophet ﷺ brought his daughter closer to him and whispered in her ear. That's intimacy. Because you feel the closeness, you feel the energy, the body contact. When your patients ask you to hold their hands, remember, it's all about intentions and niyyah. It's all about intentions. But the standards when you are well sometimes are different when the standards are when you're sick. My female patients ask to hold my hand. How would you feel if I tell them, no, I don't touch you? I offer my hand, they hold my hand. Sometimes they cry on my shoulder. Okay? It's all about intentions. For darura, for necessity, you get to do sometimes things that oftentimes we don't do, but with boundaries. With boundaries. In the context of an American environment, people like to hug each other. Male and female. Okay? And that's the culture. For me, the boundary is, how about a firm handshake instead? So that's my boundary. Is I shake hands, I don't want to have a hug from anyone of the opposite sex. Then you reach the core, and that's an area or a time that is not for an extended period of time. That is very brief. Instant. That when you see their tears, okay, that's when they start to cry. What would you do if your patient starts crying? What's that?
We giving them a tissue.
You give them a tissue.
Something like that.
Why would you give them a tissue?
Because that is the things that you always do when patients cry or something like that. Comfort them. Is that a method of comfort? Maybe that is one of methods of comfort.
Are you willing to take it a little deeper? Are you willing?
No, okay.
Shall we talk about tears and what does it mean for you? Is it okay? Is it okay to talk about that? I say it's a community of brothers and sisters. Is it okay to talk about tears?
Okay, okay.
For you personally, when you see someone crying, what does it mean?
Maybe they have something that they need to share. No,
That's for them.
what's that?
I'm talking about you. When you see someone crying, what does it mean for you?
When I see someone crying.
Yeah, when you see someone crying, what does it mean for you? Would you be comfortable with someone crying?
Yes, I'm not really comfortable with that. Of course I'm not comfortable with it.
You're not comfortable.
Yeah.
You're not. I appreciate your honesty. Thank you. You're not comfortable with someone crying. Are you comfortable with seeing a patient with their snot coming down their nose?
Of course, it's too bad.
Okay. You feel sorry for them.
Yeah, I'm just sorry for what they have to do.
That is sympathy. That is sympathy. When you feel sorry for someone, that is sympathy. And that is one aspect, but that's not what we are looking for. We're looking for compassionate care. Because you're not, and by the way, you're not alone. Many are not comfortable with seeing tears, especially if that person is a male. They say men don't cry. Right? These women are stronger. Yes. And when we see someone who's not crying, oh, what's wrong with him? Yeah. Helpless man. That's the culture. That's the culture. When baby Ibrahim was dying in the hands of his father, our prophet, he started weeping. And said, Inna al-ayna latadma, oh, our eyes are tearful, and our heart is sad for your departure, Ibrahim, but will not say anything that displeases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Death has been described as musibat al-maut, catastrophe. Yet you are unable to forgive and to give a passing for your brother and sister to see them crying. You give them a tissue, means shut up and get hold of yourself, wipe your tears and get over it. That's what does it mean. You're not comfortable and you give them something to stop. We have tissues in the room. I put it next to them. They can help themselves if they need it. And they apologize. I said, what are you apologizing for? What are you apologizing for? There is nothing to apologize for. That's how you feel, and I'm here to be with you today. Okay? We need to get in touch with our human instinct, with our humanity. The people around the Prophet mocked him for crying. And he described that as tears of mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he started weeping. The nature of the visit is to be there without judgment. To be there without judgment. A Catholic priest will go in and ask their members of the Catholic faith to confess, so he can absolve them from their sins. We confess our shortcomings to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We help the person. Is there something that is bothering you, want to get out? And let Allah hear it. And ask Allah for forgiveness. And that's when the person will cry. Because we don't know how Allah is going to deal with us. We always have that fear, we don't have that guarantee. So if you're patient and your terminal illness, you have that multiple emotions going through your mind. My presence is to comfort, to withhold judgment. Okay? So I encourage all of you to embody that approach. That meet the patients where they are rather than lift them up to be in the happy stage. If we are about making everybody happy, medicine will fail because we cannot stop death. We don't die voluntarily. No one dies voluntarily. يتوفاكم. He will cause you to die at the time that he appointed. ثم ترجعون إلى الله. You will be taken back to Allah. So no one leaves this earth voluntarily, and that is aching because you leave behind loved ones. So men and women, yes, they get emotional. And for you to respect their tears, and you're going to add to it, to give yourself the courage. It's really a moment of courage. To join them by displaying your emotions as well, if they come naturally. There is nothing shame of seeing someone tearful. It's our utmost intimate act to comfort someone. And if your tears came down, that's fine. You are a professional. You maintain the professional boundary, composure. It takes you a few seconds to regain your composure. That's fine. And if you need to step out of the room because it's too difficult for you, please do so. Ask to be excused. I'll be back after a few minutes. We don't want a situation where the patient is strong and you are weak in that sense that they are comforting you. We don't want that situation. That will become now difficult. That means you have needs and the patient is meeting your needs. It should be the other way around. Okay? And that's why we said we ground ourselves before we go in to make sure that our cup is empty and we're going to get our cup full from this patient. That means releasing some of their energy, taking it ourselves, support and get out, releasing that energy, get recharged, go in and go back. Now, if you discover something in the course of the visit that is really important and necessary for the staff to know it, you leave the room, you wash and you gel your hands again. Remember, you gel in and you gel out. The moment you go in, you gel. The moment you go out, you gel your hands. And you approach the nurse and said, I spoke with patient so and so, and they disclosed to me the following. You share with them something that is important. It's not gossiping with them of, listen what they told me. No, something that's impacting their health, impacting their well-being. You don't need to tell them what you did in the room in terms of services, dua, or work. That's not their area of work. You tell that to the spiritual care staff by writing a note, which is the report, and placing that there. Before you leave the room, always ask the patient, is there anything else I need to do? Is there anything else you would like to share that you have not shared? And if you think that patient needs another follow-up visit, you plant the seed for that visit before you leave. I hopefully will be able to visit with you tomorrow or the day after. Would that be okay with you? Knowing that there might not be another visit for whatever reason. Don't overpromise, but if you think that patient deserves another visit, you put that in the chart. The next volunteer will come and complete the visit. Do you have any questions?
Assalamualaikum. It's not really a question, it's just a bit of a sharing to also address the brother's question earlier. When you meet a patient who is reluctant or not really interested in the conversation, what I've done before also is to just ask them first. When I sense they are not cooperating, I just ask directly, would you like me to stay or would you prefer that I leave? And sometimes they actually say, well, okay lah, you can stay. Okay, would you like me to just sit here with you quietly? I can sit here and read a book and spend 20 minutes with you. Or what else you prefer, if you don't want to talk, And they're okay with that also most times. They kind of just want somebody there sometimes. So usually if I go and visit people, I do bring a book. I will not sit there and look at my phone or anything like that, never the phone. But I could sit and read and just be there with somebody for 10 minutes. And then sometimes they start talking and then they just start opening up while you're sitting there quietly. That's fine too. That is also a successful visit to me. It's not just when they share their deep intimate feelings. It's just knowing that I was there serving their need that day. That's one way that you can have a conversation.
And add to it, if it's a follow-up visit and they like to read, ask them what their favorite book, and next time you bring their favorite book and read their book to them while they are listening. It's a visit, but fulfilled by you providing their favorite book and reading that to them. Thank you for sharing that. Any other questions?
Hello, from Kampung. I'm Haji Muhammad. Assalamualaikum. I'm from Volunteer Corps Hospital Selayang. I like to share my experience when I did visit a patient. In fact, with the contact of a hospital nursery, but I met one patient. Initially, the patient was very friendly and quite talkative. And with that, I start asking a very sensitive question. Awak dah sembahyang? It means, have you prayed? Have you performed your prayer? From that moment, he looked on outside and don't look at me anymore. But with him, a boy, a young man, age of 16 years old, I learned that boy is his son. So I used that boy to communicate, because with the patient, I had no communication. He looked at one side and silence. So I told the boy to tell your father, because you are sitting there, at least you must do something. You are not a nurse or a hospital officers to give medicine, but you can do something. And let your father, when the time comes for prayer, tell him, assist him to take the wudu or take the tayammum or anything else. So, but he's listening. And I think I stay there just to communicate on a social, so on personal, it's very personal, talking about praying for patient. He's complaining about his cancer on lung cancer, but still negative in communication. But this sensitive issue on brain, some patient just don't like to hear it. So this is my experience that we can use a third or second person to be a middleman. Okay. To convey our message. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your experience. That is one way of communicating with the patient. As I understand, the patient has cancer. For whatever reason, you did not pursue more talk about the cancer and how that is impacting him, right?
Smoking.
What's that?
He was a heavy smoker.
I understand. But he has cancer, regardless of the reason. Some people get lung cancer and they're not smoking. They're not smokers. So again, I don't judge why he has cancer. I deal with the fact that he has cancer. And the fact that he's not praying, whether he disclosed it or you took the liberty of asking that. Okay? So we have two things to deal with. Number one is I don't use family members to communicate with the patient. And definitely I will not use minors to tell adults anything. I don't. If they speak a language I don't understand, I ask for a professional interpreter. I want to talk to the patient directly. That is my patient. The son is the son to his father. It's not my patient. If they're dealing with grief because of their father, they become my patient. I talk to them directly. I don't talk to their father to tell their children. I don't do that. I would encourage you to go back and to ask about how does the cancer impact his prayers. Instead of asking him, do you pray? That's a direct question. Some people might not be comfortable with direct questions. I will ask, having cancer, did that impact the way you perform the prayers? He might tell you, well, I don't pray. Then he told you. You did not ask him. Okay? Let the patient control the conversation. Give them little control. They lost every control in their life. Remember, we are patients' advocates, first and foremost. We don't want to be another body that will bring them a dose of guilt for not praying. We deal with what we have. I would ask, would you like me to help you to perform the prayers? Again, would you like? And I will not give orders. Absolutely, that's outside of my boundaries to order anyone to do something. Because I love them so much, I want to save them, but that's not the right time and the right place. I might show them the path and ask them to reflect. Have you been able to do your prayers, for example? If they say yes, would you like to share with me what you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for? Again, asking for permission, would you like to share? It might sound like a silly question to some. We don't tell people what we pray for, but that's a part of the assessment. You ask for what you need. And my job is to discover what you need. It's not a gossip question. Again, if someone tells you, I have cancer, or I did not sleep tonight, I don't change the topic. I stay with the topic. Don't introduce another topic into the conversation. Stay with it. What does it feel to be living with cancer? Would you like to share? Do you feel pain? Physically, does it keep you up all night? Again, you're showing interest and they can answer if they want. Okay? And this, again, this is for everybody, not for this particular case, but this is for everybody. Is you stay with the individual. Once you're done, there is nothing else to talk. Is there anything else we need to talk about this? Shall we move to another area? I have a question for you. Then you ask for permission to move the conversation. Okay? It's just a matter of communication. We want to talk to them. We don't want to tell them. Okay? Any other person?
I want to add another case.
Okay.
Another case. A patient
Okay.
said, when I was healthy, I never prayed.
Okay.
Now I'm bedridden inside the ward. You ask me to pray. So sorry. So this, I call it a difficult patient to persuade to do the prayer. One, he was healthy, he never prayed. Now I think it's a very good excuse for not praying.
Okay.
What's your opinion?
For me personally, I don't have any guilt feeling if someone does not pray. I'm not guilty of that personally. That moves me to do something myself. Okay? They made a choice. They will be responsible for their choices. My goal is to ask, do you have any barriers to pray? What does prayer mean to you? And put it in context. When you shared with me that you have cancer, what do you understand from this case? How much longer do you have left? Did the physician tell you that? That's a perfect question to ask. Did they tell you how much longer do you have left? How would you like to spend the rest of your life in the next 4 months? You are in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether he prays or not, they're still in the hands of Allah. As you are taking shahada, you're taking the initial step towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We know, we coach people to do shahada. You know? And it's not just repeat after me. You know, we have to put other meaning to rituals. The prayer to one is an obligation. That's one understanding. I might share that understanding. I might have a different understanding. Yeah, Allah made it as a fard. That means it's an obligation. But there is also Allah made it as something else. It's a way of communication with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it moves from becoming an obligation into a tool. Then I look at it as a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's a gift. You take it or you leave it. You make the choice. So when you explore what does it mean for you to be living and doing the prayer while you are healthy and while you are sick, what does it mean for you to say, I don't want this gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Or refusing to do the prayer if you're telling me, I understand it's a part, but I don't do it. Ask them what does it mean for them. Before giving them a lecture on the importance of prayer and why they should pray. ليس عليك هداهم. You will not offer them guidance. Guidance comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You just open windows for them to reflect so they can see. Okay? So I again invite you to widen your horizon in terms of life and death, sickness and well-being. Withhold the judgment, because most of what we are falling into the trap is the judgment part. I know it makes you upset for him not to pray, right? And if he was your son, maybe you're going to give him a different speech. Pull his ear maybe, right? Right? Right. That's part of disciplining, because it's your responsibility towards your children. But it's not your child. You advise. You continue to advise kindly, with wisdom. We advise. Okay? Because we want them to pray on their own while we're there and while we are not there.
Mr. Kamal,
yes.
I personally, honestly, I tell you.
Yes, and I appreciate your honesty. Honestly, I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah. You know, in fact, more than sympathy to that question, I'm more on empathy. So,
I believe you.
With this empathy, I'm thinking, what's the best way? As you have said, it is one of the ways. Many weeks, several weeks to go about. So thank you very much.
And I don't doubt your sincerity. Honestly, I don't doubt the sincerity. But I'm looking at what is the best way of connecting with someone, knowing that if that person was coming to you at the mosque, you have a lifetime to connect with them and to impact them. This is a one time. Literally a one time. When they are in the hospital, we don't have the luxury of time and coming back and develop strategy, and next time I'll do this, and next time I'll do the fear part, and heaven and hell. You know, I don't have that luxury. We don't have that time. It's just one single time. So better in that time, have everything in your tools to connect. Listening to them is the best way to connect, because when they share with you something, that's what bothers them. That's what bothers them, and let's stick with them for the time. Yes?
Sir, just now, I heard you mentioning that it's all right to ask patients how much time they are left. I don't think our culture endorses that.
The question is, I did ask the patient, did the physician tell you about your prognosis? And what do you understand from it? I asked that. And if they say, they tell me stage 4 cancer. What do you understand from that?
They don't have much time.
What does that mean for you? You don't have much time. How much time did they say? Months? Weeks?
But in our culture, we don't.
I understand in the culture, because we do sometimes things that we rub the culture in a different way.
But the West is different from
It's in every culture. It's in every culture. Because you want to know if the window of time, how much time. If it's initial diagnosis, that means there is potential surgery for cancer, potential chemo, you know. and if it's stage 4, everything has been done. So we're helping the patient connect with reality. When you tell me stage 4 cancer, I understand from that you went through surgery, maybe, I don't assume. Or they did that, or no, they decided I'm not a candidate for surgery. They decided I'm not a candidate. They tell you that. And that's perfectly okay. Because you want to build an understanding for that patient. And you had the chemo. Yeah, I did not respond because now it's spread in multiple organs. How would you like to spend or to be your relationship with Allah for the next period of your life as you are dealing with this?
Each time I visited the patient, I always bring tafsir.
Okay.
Small tafsir. And I always offer to them to recite one of the 7 verses of the Shifa.
Okay.
So, and most time it works.
What do you mean by it works?
The patient like it. The patient are happy.
Absolutely. So in the Quran addresses healing that comes from Allah. Would you like me to read to you some of those verses? Would you like me to write them for you so you can read them on your own?
Yeah, we did
that. It's better for them to do it themselves. You're an instrument. Say to them, leading them to the source. Would you like for me to leave a piece of paper that have those verses for you to read them on your own? Or I will also always come back to you and ask, or I say them. Again, it's an invitation.
I may raise issues which have been addressed because I was MC for a while. I have one question to you, and then another question to the audience, because this part of sharing. The question to you is, you had discussed with us from the perspective of Muslim provider and Muslim client, patient. But the intention is not for specific for Muslim. I think we need to be aware of that as well. Because I don't think we're going to go to the ward and say, please just give me cases who are Muslim, especially if you're going to public hospital. So perhaps I'm not sure whether you had addressed that. We as a Muslim hospital volunteers going to hospital and then meeting the needs of non-Muslim, perhaps in your American experience as well, relating to our multicultural, multi-religious thing. So that's the first question. And then the second one is I am naive to this. To be honest, whether we co-host this, but the next speaker, I think, will be somebody from the medical social welfare to share with us the published policy. I am having the document that will address this. And I was reading this. There are quite detailed things, including inclusion criteria, screening, health screening that you say, check on the safety or that, as well as the objectives and also the process of after identifying the person, including training. So my question is to the rest. I know we are not directly from the Ministry of Health Administrator, but our director came from that. So I'm asking because to relate to some of the questions raised by the hospital volunteers. Have you all been to a program of training and then retraining on communication, for example? What are to be done, what are not to be done, how would you deal with this difficult patient? Example like that, we say, oh, maybe you can do it differently. Has any one of you been subjected to that?
I ask, in your faith, how you deal with illness. They ask me sometimes to recite a dua for them. What would you like me to pray for? I ask for what is on their mind. And I offer a generic prayer. I say to the patient who is non-Muslim, I invoke the presence of God. I don't use the word Allah in a multi-faith scenario. Is that okay with you? I still ask, not okay with me. Is that okay with you as a patient? I'm invoking the presence of God. Is that okay? I said yes. I already know what they want me to ask for, and I start by a prayer of thankfulness. Allah, thank you for this opportunity to invoke your presence. My brother or my sister is in need of your help. Again, I turn things back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because they are either your brother and sister in Islam or brother or sister in humanity. And they're all created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is in charge of them. I ask for their healing and shifa. And I finish it by, if there is anything left in this life to give to them. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً. If there is anything good that is left in this life, give to them. And if there is nothing left, you are the best to receive us. Again, it's a generic prayer. Yet it's an Islamic prayer without using Islamic terms. That's my prayer for a non-Muslim. And if this person is Muslim, I will become the chaplain who is the Muslim chaplain in this case, or the spiritual care provider, the Muslim provider. So this is my immediate community now. I address things based on Islamic principles and guidance. So you have to navigate between the two. Now, when they ask me, those who are non-Muslim ask me for services that is faith specific, that I cannot provide as a Muslim. There are aspects of Catholic faith requires sacrament of the sick. Basically, only a priest will be able to provide that. A, I'm not a priest. B, I'm not Christian. I cannot provide that. I mention that is I'm not part of your faith. I will not be able to provide that. Do you have somebody that I can call on to, or I can call on somebody else for you? We don't abandon our patient because they are of different faith, but we facilitate. It's like a referral. You refer to somebody else. With this, I think my time is up. Thank you, Sister Aisha, for reminding me. And I thank you for this opportunity to be with you. Indeed, man lam yashkur al-nas, lam yashkur al-khaliq. We thank you as a way of thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing us to be here, and inshallah, we'll be back. We will be back, inshallah. That's our commitment to share the knowledge. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat datang kepada semua sukarelawan daripada semua hospital. Saya rasa ada di wakil-wakil daripada Hospital Lembah Kelang. Okey, saya punya topik ni agak dry sikit sebab pasal garis panduan penempatan sukarelawan di hospital-hospital Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia. Mungkin di antara tuan-tuan dan perempuan setengahnya dah tahu berkenaan dengan garis panduan perkhidmatan sukarelawan di KKM punya garis panduan lah. Okey, untuk selepas kita semua tadi mendengar ceramah daripada Mr. Kamal, kat situ banyak sebenarnya disentuh sebagaimana yang termaktub dalam kita punya garis panduan. Disentuh macam mana peranan sukarelawan, disentuh apa objektif sukarelawan di hospital-hospital dan sebagainya. Jadi dalam masa setengah jam ni saya tak sempat untuk menyentuh semua, tetapi saya akan sentuh perkara-perkara yang agak-agak penting saja, sebab garis panduan yang saya akan berkongsi dengan tuan-tuan dan puan-puan adalah garis panduan yang telah dimurnikan daripada dua garis panduan yang terdahulu. Okey, garis panduan yang terdahulu, yang pertama bilangan garis panduan berkeliling Ketua Pengarah Kesihatan Malaysia bilangan 7 tahun 1994. Kemudian ada lagi satu garis panduan fokus kepada para sukarelawan yang menjalankan aktiviti keagamaan di hospital, iaitu berkeliling Ketua Pengarah Kesihatan bilangan 8 1995. Kemudian dimurnikan menjadi satu garis panduan yang digabungkan sekali kedua-duanya di antara dua berkeliling tadi, iaitu garis panduan perkhidmatan sukarela di hospital-hospital Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia bilangan 18 tahun 2016. Di dalam garis panduan ini diterangkan apa definisi sukarelawan dan apa sebenarnya tugas sukarelawan di hospital. Dia fokus kepada sukarelawan di hospital di bawah Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia. Okey, kalau sebagaimana yang kita maklum, sukarelawan adalah orang ataupun individu yang melakukan tugasan bagi kepentingan pesakit tanpa ganjaran keuangan di sebuah hospital setelah permohonan mereka diluluskan oleh pengarah hospital. So daripada definisi itu saja, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, kita dah boleh nampak. Pertama, sukarelawan itu adalah individu. Kemudian dia bertugas di hospital. Macam mana cara dia nak bertugas? Mestilah ada satu garis panduan. Tetapi sebelum dia bertugas, dia perlu dapat kelulusan daripada pihak hospital. Sebagaimana yang tuan-tuan dan puan-puan tahu juga, Jabatan Kerja Sosial di perubatan di mana-mana hospital di bawah Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia adalah dilantik sebagai penyelaras aktiviti sukarelawan hospital. Okay, kalau kita melihat pada definisi ini, apa peranan sukarelawan sebenarnya? Kalau tuan-tuan dah pernah melaksanakan aktiviti sukarelawan, especially di ward-ward, apabila tuan-tuan dan puan-puan pergi ke ward, berjumpa dengan pesakit, apa sebenarnya tuan-tuan dan puan-puan melihat ataupun menggambarkan seorang pesakit itu? Kita menghadap pesakit, kita tengok for sure bila orang yang menghadap sakit, dia akan rasa tekanan, rasa emosi, tekanan emosi, dalam keadaan tak tahu mungkin, ataupun dalam keadaan yang bercelaru, mengingatkan orang-orang yang di luar, orang-orang ahli keluarga yang di rumah dan sebagainya. So dalam kita mendekati pesakit itu juga, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan boleh melihat ada kes-kes pesakit yang agak sukar nak menerima penyakit yang dialami. So kalau kita pergi berhadapan dengan seseorang individu, tak kira lah pesakit ataupun orang yang luar yang menghadapi masalah, so kita fokus kepada pesakit kita yang mengalami penyakit. First, dia agak sukar nak menerima sakit dia, especially sakit-sakit yang agak kronik. So kalau pesakit itu tidak menerima sakitnya dulu, macam mana dia akan pergi kepada step yang seterusnya? Apa ubat dia, kan? Kalau dia kata, ini bukan sakit aku, deny, tak terima sakit ni, so dia tak akan berusaha untuk tanya doktor apa sakit dia, macam mana cara rawatan dan sebagainya. Okey, kemudian dalam masa yang sama perlu sokongan emosi. So inilah yang dimasukkan dalam garis panduan, di mana peranan sukarelawan itu sendiri adalah untuk memberi sokongan emosi kepada pesakit-pesakit kita. Itu salah satu peranan yang paling utama, sebab kita menghadap dengan orang-orang yang mengidap penyakit. Okey, di hospital kita ada petugas di hospital di mana termasuk saya lah, di mana kami telah diberi tugas-tugas yang telah distrukturkan. Jumpa pesakit, kita buat rawatan, macam doktor bagi rawatan, macam kami bantu dari segi sokongan sosial dan sebagainya. Tapi dalam masa yang sama, pesakit ini sebenarnya memerlukan sokongan daripada tuan-tuan dan puan untuk melengkapkan lagi proses pemulihan ataupun proses kesihatan dia. Maksudnya untuk dia sihat, selain daripada rawatan, dia perlu juga sokongan emosi daripada kita lah. Kalau dengan sendirinya kat situ kita nampak betapa pentingnya sukarelawan dalam melengkapkan lagi pemulihan pesakit-pesakit kita yang menghadapi penyakit. So alangkah cantiknya kalau pihak staf hospital dah menjalankan tugas-tugas dia, digabungkan sekali dengan peranan-peranan sukarelawan kita untuk membantu di dalam sokongan emosi dan sebagainya. Okey. Okey, so apa yang saya jelaskan tadi dah distrukturkan di dalam garis panduan objektif penghormatan sukarelawan di hospital, iaitu membantu dalam memberi sokongan. Yang kedua tu membantu pesakit menerima hakikat penyakit. Yang paling besar yang macam mana dia nak terima sakit dia tu. Lagi dia tak terima, dia takkan pergi step-step seterusnya. Itu peranan kita ya, pada sukarelawan yang menghadap, cuba mendekati. Tadi Mr. Kamal ada menyentuh kita, ada share dengan kita macam mana kita mendekati pesakit. Kita tak boleh terus tanya benda yang kerahsiaan dia. Kita tak sesuai untuk terus macam tu. Maksudnya wujudkan hubungan dulu, wujudkan hubungan dengan dia, mendekati dia sampai satu keadaan pesakit itu sendiri nak bercerita dengan kita. So pesakit kita sebagai sukarelawan memang perlu ambil masa sabar. Dan kadang-kadang ada setengah tu bila kita pergi je terus nak bercerita, ada juga. So macam-macam cabaran sebagai sukarelawan. So ini objektif dia, mengenai pasti keperluan sokongan social community. Jadi kalau dah pergi lebih jauh, dia akan sampai ke peringkat-peringkat ni lah. Okey, peranan sukarelawan, sokongan sosial dan kebajikan. Yang ni biasa kalau tuan-tuan dan puan pernah berkhidmat di hospital, ada yang bertugas ataupun yang terlibat dalam membantu menguruskan pustakaan bergerak, mengurus permainan kanak-kanak di pediatrik, membantu menguruskan keperluan harian pesakit, membantu mendapatkan latihan kemahiran, pekerjaan. Yang ni kalau sukarelawan yang ada kontak dan ada networkingnya. Okay. Kalau tadi kita bercakap dengan training macam Datuk ada tanya tadi, sukarelawan kita ni dapat tak kemahiran tertentu? Betul. Maksudnya sukarelawan perlu ada kemahiran. Paling kurang pun dia ada kemahiran untuk mendekati pesakit. Kaunseling asas lah kata macam mana nak dekatkan dengan pesakit. Dan saya percaya di hospital-hospital lain pun banyak training-training yang dibuat. Dan biasanya sukarelawan ni, dia punya program-program di hospital di Lembah Kelang ni, kalau dibuat di hospital Sedang contohnya, dia akan jemput semua sukarelawan di hospital-hospital yang lain. Dan macam hari ni kita dapati ramai daripada sukarelawan daripada hospital-hospital Lembah Kelang. Dalam 90 lebih saya nampak dari segi kehadiran tu lah. So kita di peringkat kita sebagai sukarelawan, kita tak capai lagi setahap mana yang di tempat Mr. Kamal tu. Tetapi kita dalam proses untuk pergi ke arah itu. Sebab kita kena perkasakan sukarelawan kita dulu. Kalau di tempat Mr. Kamal, ward yang panggil sukarelawan, tapi kita sekarang ni sukarelawan yang pergi ke ward. Sebab itu kita sukarelawan perlu diperkasakan dulu. Maksudnya sampai kita boleh nampakkan kita punya kepentingan sebagai sukarelawan di hospital. Dan barulah kemudahan-kemudahan ataupun ward-ward ataupun staf di hospital merasakan keperluan kita. So tak ada kita ambil masa sikit kan, pelan-pelan untuk meningkatkan lagi kita punya kemahiran sebagai sukarelawan. So cuma satu aja, diharap tuan-tuan dan puan as a sukarelawan memang kena banyak berkorbanan. Nampak sukarelawan kadang masa dia pun ada keluarga dekat rumah dan sebagainya. So dia perlukan masa, kewangan dan sebagainya. Sebab kita tahu sukarelawan ni tak ada bayaran kan. Tetapi saya percaya setiap tindakan ataupun sharing ataupun perkongsian ataupun aktiviti yang dibuat mesti ada kepuasan dalam diri tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sebagai sukarelawan. Yang tu yang tak boleh dibeli. Kalau membayar sekalipun kita tak akan dapat kan. Okay. Jadi aktiviti-aktiviti yang biasa saya rasa saya tak perlu jelaskan di dia lah. Okey, sokongan emosi dan kerohanian pesakit. Yang ni dalam garis panduan ni memang ditekankan sukarelawan hanya dibenarkan memberi sokongan ini kepada pesakit yang sama agama dan kepercayaan dengan persetujuan pesakit. So that mean bila kita nak share tentang agama, kita perlu dapat persetujuan daripada pesakit dulu. Kemudian di dalam garis panduan itu juga ada sekali panduan macam mana sukarelawan perlu bertindak ataupun peranan sukarelawan itu. So daripada garis panduan itu perkara 10 peraturan bagi aktiviti sukarelawan agama. Okey, jadi kita boleh detailkan sikitlah. Peraturan bagi aktiviti sukarelawan agama, syarat-syarat sukarelawan. Pertama, mempunyai surat pentauliahan atau surat pengesahan daripada badan, pertubuhan, organisasi berkenaan yang berdaftar dengan Jabatan Pertubuhan Malaysia ROS. Yang kedua, yang ni lebih kepada aktiviti yang formal. Yang kedua, mendapat kelulusan daripada pihak hospital terlebih dahulu dan berdaftar dengan Pegawai Pilihan Sukarelawan sebelum menjalankan aktiviti. Maksudnya proses ini bermula daripada awal lagi. Masa memohon, kita akan tengok, kita akan cek pertubuhan yang dianggotai itu yang datang untuk berdaftar dengan kita ada kelulusan tak ataupun dah daftar ke tak. Kita tak nak ada pertubuhan yang tak terregister dan sebagainya kerana ia takut memberi kesan kepada pesakit khususnya dan hospital dan kementerian umumnya. Kemudian syarat-syarat pelaksanaan aktiviti. Aktiviti keagamaan dilakukan kepada pesakit yang sama agama dan kepercayaan dengan sukarelawan. Persetujuan daripada pesakit perlu macam tadi terlebih dahulu. And then sukarelawan tidak dibenarkan campur tangan dengan perancangan proses dan prosedur rawatan pesakit. Yang ini sangat penting. Kadang-kadang kita faham bila sukarelawan datang, bila tengok doktor bagi rawatan doktor ada dia punya cara rawatan dia lah reseti medical dan sebagainya. Dan kita sebagai sukarelawan, kita tak boleh cakap dengan pasien, tak boleh ni doktor tak boleh makan ni tak boleh lah. So itu perkara-perkara yang memang ditegah lah supaya doktor ataupun pihak staf hospital di pihak dia menjalankan tanggungjawab dia. Kita just bagi support. Okey, yang seterusnya sukarelawan dikendaki untuk memastikan aktivitinya kan tidak mengganggu urusan pesakit. So maksudnya bila sebab tu dalam garis panduan ni pun dia tetapkan pukul berapa untuk jumpa pasien. Masa doktor buat round tu tak boleh nak pergi jumpa pasien dan sebagainya. So benda-benda ni selalu diberi, especially kalau sukarelawan yang baru berdaftar, biasanya kita akan buat satu program orientasi kepada sukarelawan. So dalam program orientasi kita akan maklum sedetailnya apa peranan hospital, peranan sukarelawan, the do's and the don'ts. Yang tu jelas. Saya rasa benda tu dah Selalunya kalau sukarelawan yang dah lama ni dia dah biasa dengan benda tu. Tetapi di dalam garis panduan ni pun ada. And then diadangkan juga dalam garis panduan tu, sukarelawan Islam boleh bekerjasama dengan pegawai hal ehwal Islam dan aktiviti-aktiviti yang dilaksanakan adalah takluk pada garis panduan dan polisi. So, di dalam garis panduan ini, dia tidak fokus kepada agama Islam sahaja sebenarnya. Ya, saya general. Maknanya mana-mana yang nak datang, nak berkongsi, mengikut agama yang lain pun boleh, tak ada masalah. Tapi atas kebenaran pesakit juga. Dan awalnya dia mesti berdaftar dengan kita dan daftar secara sah. Okey, ini proses permohonan menjadi sukarelawan. Yang ini biasalah, tuan-tuan puan-puan memang tahu macam mana apabila ada cadangan atau berminat untuk menjadi sukarelawan, boleh datang ke Jabatan Kerja Sosial Perubatan mana-mana hospital pun di kementerian, di bawah Kementerian Kesihatan. Kat situ boleh ambil borang dan boleh register. So permohonan tu nanti dia akan proses. So kita dalam garis panduan ni juga kita ada kalau detailnya untuk kita di peringkat penjelaras ni ada saiz kad dia, pas dan sebagainya. So kita dalam proses untuk mengikut prosedur tu. Sebab kalau dulu masing-masing kad tak sama kan, di hospital lain, di hospital sedang lain, HKL lain dan seterusnya. Kita ada 2 minit lagi, saya kira lagi. So peranan Jabatan Kerja Sosial Perubatan dalam perkhidmatan sukarelawan. So pegawai penjelaras perkhidmatan sukarelawan dilantik di kalangan pegawai kerja sosial. Okey. So saya sebagai pegawai penyelaras sukarelawan di Hospital Kuala Lumpur bertugas di Jabatan Kerja Sosial lah. So sebenarnya Jabatan Kerja Sosial adalah merupakan penyelaras mana-mana di hospital lah untuk program sukarelawan. Okey, dan ini peranan daripada pihak Jabatan Kerja Sosial ataupun di Jabatan Kuasa Induk Hospital. Okey, saya nak sentuh sikit. Okey, kalau pegawai kerja sosial ataupun Jabatan Kerja Sosial dia bertugas untuk menyelaras, pegawai penyedianya pula adalah ketua-ketua unit ataupun ketua-ketua jururawat di ward-ward. Maksudnya kami dalam satu grup yang kita latih sebagai Jawatan Kuasa Induk Perkhidmatan Sukarelawan Hospital. Inilah dia punya anggotanya, pertama pengarah ataupun mana-mana pegawai yang dilatih, kemudian pegawai kerja sosial sebagai penyelaras dan ketua unit sebagai penyelia. Jawatan kuasa ini bertanggungjawab untuk meneliti dan meneruskan permohonan sukarelawan, menyediakan buku pendaftaran. Kalau tuan-tuan dan puan boleh tengok dekat slide saya tu. Okey, ini adalah tempat-tempat yang kita tak benarkan, di mana boleh mengganggu dari segi rawatan pada pesakit dan sebagainya. Okey, yang ni yang paling penting sekali untuk para sukarelawan kita, ditekankan juga dalam garis panduan itu kerahsiaan dan privasi pesakit. Perkara-perkara berkaitan penyakit hanya boleh dibincang bersama pegawai penyedia atau pegawai penyelaras sahaja. Itu tak boleh dibawa keluar bercerita sini dan sebagainya. Yang ni pun sekiranya pesakit share lah. Kadang-kadang ada pesakit dia tak nak share, itu hak dia lah. Mengambil gambar pesakit adalah tidak dibenarkan sama sekali. Termasuklah menggunakan media sosial, tak boleh kerana di bawah tanggungjawab sukarelawan penggunaannya, implikasi. Okey, etika kerja sukarelawan sangat penting kepada para sukarelawan kita. Data jumpa pasien, kenakan diri. Tadi semua tu pun dah disentuh oleh Mr. Kamal. Cuma di sini dia distrukturkan dalam garis panduan ni macam ni. Merahsiakan semua maklumat, mengawal pelibatan emosi dan fizikal dengan pesakit, tiada diskriminasi agama. Maksudnya kalau kita nak jumpa pasien, kalau pasien kita Muslim, kita nak jumpa yang Muslim, okey, kita boleh pergi. Kita pergi sebagai sokongan emosi kepada pesakit. Okey, tengoklah. Aku pakaian Okey, ada ada ke yang berlaku pada sukarelawan kita? Kalau ada ya, sukarelawan yang mengalami gangguan seksual, ugutan, tingkah laku, agresif atau ganas, mana tahu pasien sakit-sakit pun sempat juga dia kan, kes saja. So boleh rujuk lapor kepada pegawai penyedia ataupun jawatan fasik hidup kita lah. Bermaksud sukarelawan kita ni kita pelihara dari segi gangguan-gangguan yang macam ni lah. Okey, itulah bila bercerita berkenaan dengan peranan sukarelawan, kemudahan-kemudahan. Memang kalau sukarelawan ni dari segi sumbangan dia terlalu bernilai, tak terkira rasanya, tak boleh dibayar dengan duit lah. So apa yang kita boleh buat di tingkat hospital ni, rasanya kita akan bagi memberikan sikit penghargaan kepada sukarelawan yang memberi perkhidmatan cemerlang supaya satu motivasi kepada dia orang. Okey, itu saja. Satu saya nak sentuh sebelum saya berhenti share atau taklimat ni. Pada 13 hari bulan Mac, kita ada terima satu surat daripada Bahagian Perkembangan ni, just share di mana dia menyentuh berkenaan dengan kita sukarelawan yang berdaftar ni. Sukarelawan yang berdaftar dengan ROS, maksudnya sukarelawan yang berdaftar dengan ROS tak dibenarkan menggunakan nama hospital dalam nama satuan dia tu ataupun pertubuhan dia tu. Contohnya di HKL nak tubuhkan Persatuan Sukarelawan, Persatuan Sukarelawan Hospital Kuala Lumpur, tak dibenarkan. Okay. Yang tu dah kita dalam surat arahan tu daripada Bahagian Perkembangan dah menjelaskan, yang tu daripada PUU lah dan kalau andai kata ada di antara tuan-tuan dan perempuan sukarelawan di mana-mana hospital yang telah berdaftar dan masukkan nama hospital di dalam nama persatuan tu, dikendaki untuk tukar nama kepada satu nama yang lain, Mawar ke apa ke So saya rasa itu saja dengan jam ni, walaupun sikit saya rasa saya dah sentuh. Kalau ada apa-apa boleh tanya, dirujuk ke Jabatan Ketua kita masing-masing.
Okay. Saya Dr. Wahida. Saya kat sini saya berdiri atas 2 baju. Satu sebagai staf HKL dan satu lagi sebagai sukarelawan Biro Kesihatan Negeri. Okey, jadi saya tahu bila saya dah datang kepada pagi, saya nampak ada 2 perspektif kat sini. Ada staf Hospital Kuala Lumpur kat sini dan ada juga para sukarelawan kat sini. Okey, bagi saya 10 minit je sebelum rehat, sebelum balik dan sebagainya. Anda mesti bertanya kalau staf daripada HKL, kenapa saya kat sini? Why am here? Alah, sukarelawan kan, itu untuk kerja sukarelawan. But it's not. Itu bukan yang sepatutnya apa yang Mr. Kamal nak tekankan. Dan kita as sukarelawan, we are outsiders, kan? Bukan staff HKL ataupun mungkin dah pernah bersara dan kerja dan tak terasa macam tadi Mr. Kamal kata kita boleh approach the patient macam etika dan sebagainya. Tapi bila cerita pasal panduan pula tegur belakang balik. This is Malaysia. Okay? Kita belum sampai lagi peringkat yang Mr. Kamal punya tahap. Saya hanya orang kecil aja untuk cerita pasal benda ni. Bagi saya benda ni kita kena tekankan. The most time with patient ialah staff. Alright, betul kan? Alright. So, yang ni yang Mr. Kamal nak tekankan. Which, kalau kita bekerja, kalau kita juga buat apa yang dipanggilkan sebagai ziarah pesakit pada masa yang sama, kita dapat membantu. Okay? Memang para sukarelawan ada masa dia nak datang. Saya faham kalau daripada encik daripada Hostel saya kata, kenapa dia pas benda tu pada anak dia, mungkin saya takkan jumpa that patient again. Tapi itu adalah apa yang staf kita di Hospital Senayan, staf di HKL yang sepatutnya ada. Contohnya kalau katakan kita hantar pesakit kepada X-ray, pakcik, kalau nak semayang ke, nak semayang dulu, ataupun saya nak hantar ke X-ray, nak turun ke bawah untuk buat X-ray,
Baca solat dulu ataupun saya akan hantar balik kemudian lepas solat, ataupun cik solat selepas saya hantar balik X-ray. Kalau ada masalah untuk bersolat, boleh minta pada saya. Tak perlu point sama ada encik boleh dah semayang ke belum, boleh semayang ke tak, pernah semayang ke tidak. Itu adalah secara tidak langsung. Okay, right? Jadi saya rasa relevannya kat sini ialah saya nak reduce the gap between these groups. Which yang sukarelawan, apa yang disentuh sebelum ni ialah macam mana nak jadi sukarelawan as profession as possible. Macam mana kita nak approach the patient. Itu adalah satu yang biasa kita cakap. Tapi pernah tak kalau kita terfikir bahawa if patient with TB patient, kita tak boleh approach. Kenapa? Sebab dia infectious disease, correct? Tapi kenapa tak boleh approach? Yes, precaution, betul. Tapi macam mana nak tahu patient TB atau tidak? Fact is TB dalam HKL ni just lain apa yang kita jumpa just now. Padahal the next 2 or 3 days after that dia akan diagnose with TB. This is HKL. So inilah yang kita kata professionalism, which yang kita tahu, okay, if there is a cohort of patient there, semua pakai mask, walaupun tak diagnose STB, kita tahu kita boleh contact the outside, we identify. Pernah dengar sekarang identify? Ini yang kita nak reduce the gap. Kita nak ada sukarelawan yang professionalism, yang profession, yang kita staff dia kita masuk dekat dalam ward tu, sister dekat ward tu tak perlu risau. This is sukarelawan professional. Dia tahu dia nak approach siapa, dia tahu macam mana dia nak protect self. Kalau katakan dalam bulan-bulan lah HKL ada buat itu bakar, they know how to help. Dia bukan setakat yang sister yang orang salah seorang yang merisaukan macam mana nak evacuate all the sukarelawan ni. Faham tak? Kita as sukarelawan as emotional, kita nak reduce the gap. Because kita sekarang ni dekat Malaysia tak ada trust. Itu yang saya nak tekankan kat sini ya. Jadi for that, as Biro Kesihatan is, which usually biasanya akan apa yang kita tekankan ialah macam mana kita nak train our volunteers dari segi macam mana nak how to approach. Okay, biasanya apa yang kita buat kat sini ialah kita ada youth hospital volunteers initiative which yang kita train, okay, khusus sukarelawan. Dalam tu kita banyak cerita pasal apa itu ziarah, apa itu dakwah. Yang kita biasa dengar. Okay? Macam mana nak approach a patient, patient baring, patient family members, itu yang biasa kita dengar. Tapi do and don'ts, tempat mana yang kita boleh masuk, patient mana kita boleh approach. Adakah setiap kumpulan kita yang kita pergi masuk ziarah ke patient, kita tanya pada sister? Kadang-kadang tidak, betul? Kadang-kadang ya. Sebab kita bukan lagi macam referral center. Apa yang Mr. Kamal cakap ialah something yang dia di-refer. Kita mungkin takkan jumpa patient tu next, dan kita approach patient, kita tak tahu pun apa diagnosis dia, kita pun tak tahu apa pun masalah dia. Kita approach as kita nak bagi care. Dan banyak juga yang ada fokus, okay, aku nak ajar semayang, macam mana nak check solat dan sebagainya. Adakah kita nak dia try untuk kurangkan dia punya anxiety dan sebagainya. Itu adalah salah satu yang kita kena tengok juga. Dan salah satu juga ialah do and do keselamatan yang saya cakap tadi pasal at least TB. If kalau katakan realistic amount sukarelawan dalam ward ada terkena realistic injury, you protect yourself with hepatitis B vaccination. That simple things yang saya tekankan adalah pasal professional. Okay, so that kita boleh reduce the gap. Bila masuk as sukarelawan atau ziarah pesakit, so that the sister, the matrons ataupun penyidik dekat nak buat, kita dah ada trust tu. Apa yang dimaksudkan oleh Dr. Ishak punya akademi tu is something yang bagi saya tak boleh nak, bagi saya susah. Kalau dia nak macam adakah kita berani approach patient yang pregnant atau membawa lahirkan anak yang luar nikah dah yang kali kedua? That is true. That's what happened in HKL. Kadang-kadang kita refer in HKL staff. Apa yang kita buat kalau patient yang lahirkan anak luar nikah? Report polis, report sosial. Then itu yang menjadi 5 kali pada orang lelaki yang sama tanpa nikah. So itu apa yang kita patut buat. Ya, tapi bila siapa tu? We don't know. So itulah kita kena check. Adakah is based on call? Patient masuk malam, besok pagi nak discharge. Pukul 8 malam dapat call. One patient masuk, anak yang kelima bersalin tanpa nikah. Itu yang kita nak. If that's an academy, apa yang Dr. Ishak nak? We are referral. Okay? Sebab dia kata, bila kita tak ada professionalism, adakah sistem tu panggil siapa? Sukarelawan untuk jumpa that patient. Kita akan refer kepada sosial. So then next year masuk ranking saja lagi. That's a simple thing. Siapa kita boleh tolong? Jauhi untuk mayat yang tidak dituntut Muslim. As simple as that. Profession. So kalau profession dia boleh train. Contohnya kalau dari segi nursing, macam mana nak tolong bila patient tengah nak dimandikan, macam mana anda nak lift the patient. As simple as that. Bila kita tahu that saudara kita professional, the gap will be reduced. That's why akan ada satu, at least satu institut dekat dalam hospital yang dipanggil untuk buat. Itu yang kita nak. That's apa yang dimasukkan dengan academy volunteerism hospital. Tapi now, at least we reduce the gap. That's why yang dalam ni saya tekankan pasal kita kena train, kita kena retrain. Okay? Sebabnya bagi saya pun, saya tak layak cakap kat sini sebabnya apa yang Mr. Kamal cakap is very something yang macam wow. Okay, dulu kita approach ada patient yang lain, macam mana, what is the correct, macam mana cara yang betul. Right? That's we train and train. Okay, dalam biro kesihatan Nabi we do a lot, but not enough. Okay, we do have a safety practical with the patient yang orthopedic cases, macam mana nak solat dan sebagainya. And then we have the session, practical session mana, macam mana yang Mr. Kamal buat tadi, macam mana how to approach. This is kat hostel semayang. One patient, how you to approach, macam mana masuk, macam mana cakap dan sebagainya. This is something yang okay. Bagi saya, kalau memang kita kata okay, ni aspek sukarelawan akan buat, but no, hardcore workers, please, I'm standing here, at least you see one patient yang boleh orang boleh anda boleh counsel, boleh cakap dan duduk. Saya mengaku kalau as a doctor, memang kalau kita patient start nangis je, okay, next patient. Memang itu. Tapi the nurses kat situ yang boleh approach balik. Itulah sebab apa yang dikatakan sebagai chaplaincy ataupun khidmat ziarah dia tak limit kepada hanya volunteers. Because this is, kita datang kerja di hospital which recognized as taman-taman syurga. So why not we do more? Okay, alright. Saya minta maaf sebab saya memang pegang dua baju hari ni. So this waktu yang kursus, and then this is kursus in Al-Islam. And then waktu kita lakukan ziarah, it should be, we do a briefing, berapa orang yang kita ada, if ada kebakaran, at least kita tahu berapa yang kita ada, which ward kita pergi. And then, ada tak berdaftar, that's the most important. Alright, so briefing in the ward. Kita tahu, briefing in the ward. Patient mana nak jumpa, bilik mana yang tak boleh masuk. That's important also. Apa yang boleh, sebab kalau katakan patient with TB, kalau staff, hospital tak akan bagi identify kita as sukarelawan. So how? We have clinic initiative untuk provide ourselves with the identify, but kita tahu tak identify tu apa? That's something, alright? So next is this is the our approach, which at least kita ada kutipan which NCFS yang ini yang semua biasa buat untuk kita have a small gift, at least a card of ataupun doa card untuk orang baca every day. This is one of yang cara untuk break the ice, alright? And then we should have the debriefing, which after that, as we said that, okay, tadi jumpa patient, okay, boleh cerita balik macam mana anda approach, apakah cara yang sebenar, macam mana nak buat. So then the next time, the other sukarelawan can approach the same patient with no record. So that is the important thing, right? Right. Kami, I just said that. Okay. Itu yang saya harap dan pihak yang sepatutnya boleh kita reduce the gap. Supaya the trust is there. The trust of the healthcare workers, the function of the healthcare workers to the patient, and the sukarelawan sendiri. Okay. For that,